It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick and Michael Cindric. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on this holiday Monday in Nashville, Tennessee. Hope you're enjoying your Martin Luther King Day off. If you are, thank you for tuning in to us. Let's check in and find out exactly what's going on all over the place. Let's start up on the plateau. Say hello to Coach Watson Brown. Watson, how are you?
George, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Did you watch some football?
Couch potato.
Were you?
I think I got off the couch a few times to eat. I went to church. Might have been about it. That's about, I stayed in the same chair most of the weekend.
Productive weekend.
Yeah, real productive.
I like
it. Really was. My wife kept telling me that. So.
Yeah, well, she's got to understand by now.
Well, after 46 years in the business, she's, I won't say train. You can't train my wife. She's pretty much on her own, but she does understand. That doesn't mean she likes it, but she understands.
Yeah. Billy.
George.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Have you said hello to Michael?
Hello, Michael.
What's up, Billy? How's it going?
I'm doing great, man. I'm ready to talk some football.
Absolutely. Two young guns.
We don't have enough football to talk about, do we?
No, I didn't say that.
We got plenty to talk about.
I didn't say that. We got a bunch of it. So let's get to the award-winning update. See where you go with this, and see how many times I cough.
What's the over/under today, Michael?
I'm gonna set it at
16.
Yeah, I'm 8.5.
I'm going over. All right, Dallas and Tampa tonight. Final game of the Super Wild Card Weekend, 7:15 tonight. Dallas is a 3-point favorite. Interesting game. I mean, yeah. Dak Prescott, Tom Brady. Who's going to take it home tonight?
So, Watson, who is going to take it home?
A little early for that, George. We can talk about that as we get into the show.
Yeah. Already getting to predictions.
I'm not ready to predict as soon as I get on the air here.
Well, how about
a little
this?
Time to think about it.
What's going to be a key tonight, Watson? What do you think wins the game tonight?
Quarterback protecting the quarterback. That's the key to the game right there. Which quarterback plays the best? Which one gets protected the best?
I got a question for y'all. Does this do anything for Brady's legacy at all?
Sure. I mean, it helps it if he wins another Super Bowl. It doesn't hurt it if you don't. If you're saying it could hurt him tonight, no.
Is there anything he could do that would help it? That doesn't include
win another Super Bowl.
It doesn't include another Super Bowl. I mean, if he makes it there, do you think it helps there? Is he already just locked in as basically the GOAT, and we all put flowers on the roads when he walks by?
You talking to me?
Yeah. What I mean, do you think if he made it to the Super Bowl, does that change any way that we already view him still?
No, it just adds to it.
Yeah.
He won 2 at another place where he won how many at the other one? What's he won? 6?
I think he's at 7.
Is it 6 or 7? I don't even see. That's what I mean. We don't even know.
Yeah.
But he's the GOAT, and there's nobody in the future that's going to catch him. It's going to take mine and George's lifetime will be over before somebody catches him. He can help himself, but he doesn't hurt himself if they get beat tonight.
No.
Do you want the sports story of the year?
Yeah, what you got, buddy?
I have a dream that he goes back to New England.
You had a dream, or you think that's what he's going to do?
No, I don't think that's what he's going to do. But think about it. if he did that, would that not be the sports story of the year? And then you've got him and Belichick, in this.
Well, the
fest.
true sports story of the year would be if they win another one back in New England. That would be the true sports story of the year. If he goes back and wins another one,
it'd be the whole LeBron James coming back to Cleveland. That whole saga.
Yeah,
that's a pretty cool story.
Or Billy Martin comes back when Steinbrenner announced after he fired him. He brought him back 4 days later at Old Timers Day and announced that he would be the manager of the Yankees a year later. That was a huge story back then. Imagine, though, if they did that and somehow he and Kraft and Belichick sat down and patched it together and he said, I want to retire as a Patriot.
Hey, I don't put anything past, including him retiring this year. I don't. I think it's wide open, and everybody is wanting to speculate. I don't think he knows. I really don't think Tom knows just right now what he's going to do. He's got so much guys on his plate. If I leave, how are we going to work my children out? He's just lost a ton of money. He and Giselle just lost a ton of money through that deal. And they could end up in court over that, being sued for this or that. I mean, there's a lot on his plate right now, and I'm not sure what he'll do.
Watson, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this real quick. Better chance of coming back next year, Brady or Rodgers? If you're a betting man.
Rodgers. I don't think Aaron's quitting. I think he's playing the game like he does every year. I just, the things I listen to him, I miss the players, I miss the fans. Now Green Bay, I don't know. He might be just really wanting to test the waters himself and see if there's a team where he feels like – the one thing he said, Michael, to me, where he said this is a really young team. And I don't think that's what he's hunting right now.
Right.
I think he's wanting to get Super Bowl written by his name a second time. And so he's the one I'd watch. I'm not saying Brady won't, because I just don't have a feel yet. And I'm not sure he does. Would he get a chance to go to San Francisco? Maybe that's where he's from, Oakland, but they're not in Oakland anymore. He was from that area. I can't see him going to the Raiders, guys. Can you all? I mean, I just can't. I don't think they're that Super Bowl-ish thing that you'd like to think they are. But that's his old coordinator now, and there's a comfortability with that. At 46, I know that he would enjoy that again. And I'm not sure he won't stay in Tampa. I'm really not. So I think it's wide open on him, but I would bet Aaron Rodgers comes back.
You got to wonder if Sean Payton is waiting on Brady or has already talked to Rodgers. Maybe Payton is going after either Rodgers or Brady and saying, "Hey, let's go somewhere and win."
I think he's waiting on Dallas.
I was fixing to say exactly what George said. I think Sean's not going to take one till he at least gets a shot at the Cowboy situation. And I think that's the guy that can handle Jerry Jones. I mean, he's the perfect fit to me. And if the Cowboys lose tonight, I believe it'll come open.
That's
because
exactly right.
Way Jerry just came out and said he's my coach no matter what. I've been there, done that one before. That's a kiss of death. That is a kiss of death when you say that. So I don't think I don't think he'll take one this year. I really don't, unless the Cowboys come open. I think he may give it one more year to wait on Dallas.
Big night for Mike McCarthy in Dallas in that future, it sounds like tonight. And Georgia, big night for the Preds. They need to get back on track. They had a solid road stand there, but they got Calgary tonight, a team that is better than they have been. So 7:00 puck drop. They've just been inconsistent.
Oh, listen, that stat we put up about how they were within 1 point of the 8th spot.
What are they now?
7.
Oh,
they're really not very close all of a sudden. This 3-game losing streak has hurt.
Yeah, George, I mean, that we were all bragging about the 3-game win streak. They've played 6 and they're 500. They've now lost 3 straight. So
right.
I mean, they've got to get past 500 ball, and I'm not sure they can, because that's kind of been what it's been all year long. Every time we think they're about to make a make a move, it seems to just backfire.
Yep. Well, something better change soon because
we keep saying that, and they keep hanging around.
I know.
They keep hanging around.
You can only hang around for so long. The playoffs are coming soon, so we'll see about the Preds tonight against Calgary. George, Villanova defeated Georgetown in college hoops action, 77-73. Talk about a team that's been inconsistent and a program that's been worse than inconsistent over the past few years. Georgetown, that's their 28th straight Big East loss. That's a conference record. And we were watching the end of a game over here, George, and I said, how does Ewing still have a job?
Well, it's because of his name and his past lineage with that program. The last thing in the world they want to do is fire Patrick Ewing. Yeah. That's like saying you're firing John Thompson. Watson, I don't know where that's going. I would hope that if that looks like it's going to happen, that Ewing would go ahead and step down and help the school get through it.
Yeah, it's sad for both of them. For Patrick, man, it's when it's your alma mater, it doubles everything. It just doubles everything. It was the way I was at Vanderbilt. It doubled everything. A win was double. A loss was double. Losing a recruit was double. It's just different. And so I don't see how you can make it though, guys. 28 straight. I don't see how you turn it. I don't see how you turn that around.
Yeah.
I just don't see how you can. And in that league, you got to get pretty good to turn it around.
Good league.
Yep. The sad thing too is Villanova is not that great either. Wonder if that's because of Jay Wright or if Jay Wright saw the signs with the roster they had. You never know.
Basketball is just such a quick fix, I think, Michael. This is way past Jay Wright. Whoever's there now, they're just not as good. He's got to figure it out.
Yeah.
A big win from my favorite coach, George, St. John's. Big win over UConn this weekend.
I saw it.
Did you pick them to beat UConn over the weekend?
No.
I didn't figure so.
That was not a plaster special.
I don't think but isn't that UConn's like third in a row?
Maybe two.
They've taken a big old nosedive.
Yeah.
That's what happens. You get into conference play and things get a little bit tougher.
Ask Arkansas.
Ask Tennessee.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get into that. But we got a game going on now, a part of the MLK Day special, some midday hoops. Michigan State. I just had the score. I went to commercial. What was the score of that?
24-16 at the break.
Okay.
Michigan State.
Purdue
leading.
Purdue leads Michigan State. Purdue's a top 5 team. And so they're in maybe in danger.
And I'll tell you why they can win the whole thing. Watson, this reminds me so much of Will Purdue's development. They had a big old 7'4" kid at Purdue, Zach Edey. And I've watched him for the last couple of years. And at times you got sort of that he can't walk and chew gum at the same time. And all of a sudden, all those individual workouts and footwork and drop step and all that. And all of a sudden you're starting to see the pilot light go on this big 7'4" kid. And I'm telling you, Purdue's going to be a tough out.
Absolutely they are. And boy, we watched the change in Will Purdue, didn't we? I'm very, very proud of that. I'm sitting there as a head coach watching him practice. I went and watched a lot of practices when I was there with CM and just the improvement that he made. But guys, Michael, the most improved guys always on all my teams through the years, whether assistant, head coach, was always the big guys. The big guys come in, they're a little slow with their feet and they're maybe a little overweight, and then they just grow into being really good players. And I'm not just offensive lineman, but also some defensive linemen that I was around through the years. Those are the guys you got to be more patient with. And nobody, I don't think, George could have coached Will Purdue any better than CM did. He handled him perfect to me. I mean, he stayed on Will, but it wasn't a briar beat. It wasn't that way. It wasn't that way at all. It was, I believe in you. Come on, we can take this further. And so a lot of that, in my opinion, is Will's work, but a whole lot of that was also Coach Newton, the way he handled him.
It seems to be a lot about the feet, Watson. Once they're able to put
it's just the
foot in front of
body
the other.
is so big at the age. to me, Billy, and your feet are going to be slower because of that. Your body's outgrown you, and then all of a sudden maturity comes in, and weights and lifting and footwork drills and everything just comes together. Diet, the way they eat when they come to college over just what they were eating at home. And the ones that want to make it will do it. And I'm not sure, guys, the hardest thing was the losing the weight for the big guys. The discipline of doing that, because, hey, you can be on this diet through your program, but then you go to McDonald's at 10 o'clock after you leave everybody. It's a credit to a lot of these big guys. And I see them in the NFL all the time, that I can remember seeing them young in college and then seeing them now. I'm going, holy cow, man. These guys, they're the special people, if you ask me.
Well, this is, I know we're going to a tough story now, but I'm sure all you guys heard about it. Alabama player Darius Miles has, of course, been kicked off the team after committing capital murder early in the morning on the Strip in Tuscaloosa. I guess it was Sunday morning. And he's done for the year. He was already out with an injury for the season. So this is just kind of a tough situation there in Tuscaloosa. They'll play in Nashville Tuesday night. So got to wonder if that'll affect them. But we haven't seen anything like this.
I've got to think, Watson, not that I'm going to sit here and get into whether he's guilty or not guilty. I have no idea. But as that team travels up here, probably sometime today, can you imagine privately the dialogue going on?
No, it's tough. It's apples and oranges, though, George. It's tough on, can we go win this game, and everybody being a little disarray, and then it's tough on, there's a death, and he's in a state where if he is guilty, he could die. And man, it's a real bad story.
You don't hear
we know part of it's true. Let's just hope he wasn't the one that did it, but it don't look good.
Nope.
I mean, I haven't ever heard capital murder with an athlete. I mean, of course,
what
OJ.
What does capital mean?
What's the difference in?
I thought it. I mean, I'm not one to be the one to speak about it, but I thought capital meant you can lose your life. That you're not just in jail the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You could go to the death chamber. However they do it in Alabama, but Alabama, I think, is a capital state that way.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Man, when stuff like that happens too, obviously the last thing that's important is Alabama's next game, but I really can't imagine that locker room trying to focus, golly, it's I don't want to say it's similar to the Damar Hamlin story, but it is in the sense that it just takes your mind off of sports at all. You know, you're just not even thinking about sports.
It's apples and oranges. You know, it's two different things. But he wasn't on the team. He wasn't playing.
Yeah, he was hurt. He was done for the year.
He's done for the year. He wasn't traveling with the team. I think he was at the game before this, earlier in the day. But it doesn't matter. It's nothing good comes from this guy.
No,
nothing at all.
Well, a little bit of a brighter story. CJ Stroud has declared for the NFL draft. I don't think this was shocking at all. He's expected to be. This was breaking news, as if this was some sort of shocking display of news today. So, but he'll probably be a top 5 pick.
The shock would have been if he'd stayed.
Yeah. I never thought
he even thought about staying.
No. His stock raised a lot in that game, in that last game against Georgia. I would love to talk to an NFL scout and see how they evaluate. You know, Ohio State has got receivers. I mean, probably their 6th best receiver could start at a lot of places. You know, and so I just wonder when that comes into the evaluation of he's throwing to guys that are unbelievable. But I mean, look, all credit to him against Georgia. He looked legit. But I can't say I was a believer before that game.
I think
not the way you were after.
No,
guys, I think it's the hardest evaluation in the NFL. Is these top quarterbacks? Are they really worth? And when you take one that's not, it absolutely destroys your franchise. It sets you back for years. When you take one like as the 5th pick, if that's what he ends up being, or the 1st pick or whatever, and that guy don't come through, look back at history at all the places. It destroys you. So I think it's a tough evaluation, man. And a lot of that to me, Michael, is just your mental toughness and your reactions. And there's so many little things that go into playing quarterback. And I think the biggest jump, I used to say that there was a big jump from high school to college, and then it's a big jump from college to the pros. High school to college is not as big a jump anymore because all these high schools are running these offenses now.
Right.
And so they're being trained and seeing coverage. But the one to the pros is totally different because, man, those bodies are so much bigger, stronger, faster, long arms, windows are tighter. Your accuracy now and your sense of timing is a big piece of it, and your mental toughness. I saw it all weekend in these quarterbacks. The mental toughness is such a big piece of this. I think that's the hardest place to evaluate on the top dudes.
Right.
Speaking of the top dudes, we're going to come back and we'll spend the first hour of the show in the NFL playoff games that have already happened. We'll talk about the Sunday wins when we come back. Stay with us.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is simple. I chose Hermitage Strike and Spare. They were amazing. Great food, great bowling, and a staff that's ready to go the extra mile. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5665.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Okay, let's get into what went on yesterday in the NFL playoffs. There were 3 games, as all of you know. Buffalo held on for dear life, beat Miami 34-31. They were a big favorite. It didn't turn out that way. Game number 2, mild upset. The Giants go to Minneapolis and beat the Vikings, and for all of those close wins that they had gotten during the year, they didn't play any defense. So the Vikings are out very early. And last night, Cincinnati held on and beat Baltimore 24-17 with a crazy play. And in fact, let's take a look at said crazy play. And there is Sam Hubbard Watson, I guess it's one of the dangers of calling a quarterback sneak.
Well, George, this is on the quarterback. I mean, it happened twice. One was successful and one wasn't this weekend. And it's the undiscipline of the quarterback. It's not what he's supposed to do. It was the push play. Everybody was lined up. They pushed the quarterback, but you can't get any push if you try to jump over the top. But look at everybody pushing on him. And he didn't need to do that. It's a yard. They're going to push him in the end zone. He's going to score. He loses his cool, decides I'm going to make the play by myself. It's what you teach as a coach forever. Don't ever reach the ball out across the goal line, one hand or two hands, unless it's fourth down and you can't get in. That's the only time you ever do that. And so this is totally on the quarterback. He cost them the game. I feel for him, but that wasn't what he's supposed to do. I've read Harbaugh's comments because I knew I would hear it as a coach. I know how this stuff goes, and never was he told to do that. He did it on his own, and so did Lawrence. I mean, Trevor Lawrence did the same thing and got away with it. Guys, they've got a 2-point play call, right? I think it was on a 2-point play, or was it touchdown?
Baltimore's was for a touchdown.
Was it the touchdown? Okay, on the touchdown. They had a pass pattern call. The linemen were dropping back to pass protect. They set up the pass protect, and he jumps over the top. I saw Coach Peterson get him on the sidelines, hug him, but I could read his lip. Don't do that again. Don't ever do that again. It's dangerous. And these guys have got to be more disciplined and play within the system, guys. That could have cost the Jags. It did cost the Ravens the game, in my opinion. I think they're going to win the game. If it goes to overtime, which I think it would have, and I think they're going to win the game. And then Coach Harbaugh's, letting the clock run down. When I see something, I just wonder why that I don't agree with. And I think he's one of the best. But I wanted to know why. And he said, I was trying to get the clock down to where they couldn't go back and kick a field goal. Gosh, you can't think that way. And his defense has dominated Cincinnati in the second half. And so to run that clock down to like he did to the end, that was a mistake. But Huntley just you cannot do that as a quarterback. One of the biggest mistakes you ever make is that. And I lost a game on the push play once, where my guys pushed my quarterback and hit his knees. They went too low, and they took his legs out, and one guy went too low, took his legs out. He stumbles and falls, and we lose the game on that play. I said two things after that, George, Michael, Billy. I said two things after that. We didn't practice that enough. We don't practice those situations enough. We got to practice them more, and we've got to get disciplined on such a critical play like that. I think people take these short yardage plays way too much for granted. And how many times do we see it every weekend in close games? Short yardage plays are such a big part of the game.
Michael, the Baltimore game came down to a Hail Mary at the buzzer that Baltimore almost caught. What you see is the front line of receivers and then a guy behind them as they're sort of tipping it back. If Baltimore had converted, would you have gone for two?
Absolutely. I think you're on the road. You've got Huntley as your quarterback versus Joe Burrow. I think I'm putting it all on the marbles to go for two there, knowing that, what do I need to get 2-3 yards instead of try to go and out-duel Joe Burrow? Because with the new playoff overtime rule, both teams get a possession. And isn't that right? They amended that playoff rule, I think, after the Chiefs game.
Both teams don't get a possession if you score a touchdown. If you kick a field goal, then the other team gets a possession.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm absolutely going for two. I would way rather trust and it doesn't have to be Huntley being the hero, but I would way rather trust me on a 3-yard play where I get to decide what I get to run. And all those offensive coordinator coaches, they've got their 2-point plays lined up. They've got their 4th and 2, 4th and 3. And so, and they're going to practice that all week. So I'm going to roll the dice on that instead of trying to outduel Joe Burrow in an overtime game.
So, Watson, the Vikings go down in the late afternoon game, and I don't think it was that big an upset. I think this is a team that lived on the edge all year long, and in the end, I didn't think they played much defense.
No, and then one last comment on the Ravens thing, George, and then I'll go to that real quick. Again, there wasn't discipline on that last play by the Ravens receiver. He's taught to get dead behind the situation and look right behind the receiver, giving itself about 4 yards, and then be like a.
We've lost you. We'll get him back in here.
That's not good.
But Watson is exactly right. I mean, when you coach those Hail Mary plays, you've got a guy that's jumping, and if he can come down with it, great. If he can tip, that's fine. But then you want a guy right in front and a guy right behind it. And that guy behind, I mean, man, so close, but you got like that. It's not like that tip was impossible to get. I mean, it hit his hands in the first place. He's got to be right behind. And honestly, George, Cincinnati didn't play that well either.
In your 12 years of college football, did you all ever pull that play off?
Let's see. We never, I think we ran it one time, and I think it was either short. I think it was short. We were short of the goal line. And so we didn't have it wasn't like a 40-yard throw. I think we were backed up, 60, 65 yards. And honestly, in that case, you might as well lateral. I think you have a better shot of that than when you're 65 yards back. But that's the only time I can remember.
Watson, did you ever in your coaching career pull off a Hail Mary?
Yes, I won a game with a Hail Mary. I nearly lost a game against LSU that you remember with a Hail Mary.
I did it on television.
Matter of fact, he caught the ball, but he did pass interfere. I lost a game on a Hail Mary against SMU at UAB on the last play of a game. But what I was trying to say before I finished, the receiver didn't get deep and right behind the tip. He wouldn't have had to move. It would have fell in his lap. And what you teach the receiver, George, there's usually a receiver in the front and a receiver in the back. And two guys go up to your tallest guys you put to go tip it or catch it. If you can catch it, you teach them to catch it. But if you can't, tip it by whatever you can do. If it's in front of you, tip it forward. If it's where you can tip it back. It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. And the receiver just did not do what he's supposed to do, or the Ravens are still playing. So that's too bad. Little things can cost you a game, and you live with it all winter. And that receiver is going to regret that one, I'm telling you. What was your question? I'm sorry, Michael or George, what was the question on the Vikings game?
Gosh, I don't even remember.
We were talking about the Giants and the Vikings not being a big upset. I agree.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a big upset at all. Matter of fact, I would have picked, I don't know if you did, I would pick the Giants in this one.
I think it's the only thing I got right.
You did pick the Giants?
I did.
Yeah, I think I would,
right,
which means usually that's not good for you. But honestly, guys, Daniel Jones was the best quarterback over the weekend. He played the best game of all the quarterbacks on the weekend, the best game of the bunch. And
the way he ran
the Giants now, tough out, guys.
Yep,
this bunch is a tough out, and they go to Philly, and Hurts has been hurt and different things. I'm telling you, watch this one. This is going to be a great football game.
Yep.
And they're hot, but they're also playing with house money now. I mean, no one expected them probably to get to the second round of the playoffs.
Well, they don't have that pressure on them the same way the Eagles do now. And and the other thing that the Giants are doing so good, guys, Coach Dabo he's using running backs the way I think you should in the NFL. It's hard. This is the reason running backs aren't drafted real high all the time, because of injury. You give them 20 carries a game, 25 carries a game, it shortens their career. They get hurt. They get wore out. The Giants are letting him have it 10, 12 times a game, and they're throwing it to him 5, 6 times. They're using him as a receiver and putting another back in the game. I just think they're using Barkley absolutely the right way, and it's going to extend his career because he's going to be receiver – running back. He's not going to be back there. I'm not sure his body could handle 20 carries a game throughout 18 games in the NFL.
Dable he may not win it, but he is certainly one of 3 or 4 that you got to lump into a group and say, this is an NFL Coach of the Year kind of job he's doing. Now, I want to get you guys on Buffalo's win over Miami. Yeah, it's a win, and it's survive and advance, and you move on. But I watched this 4-hour marathon. There's something not right in Buffalo. Now, when I asked you about it, Michael, I thought you hit on something that I'm really starting to agree with when I watch them.
Yeah, Watson, I think that they are heavyweight punchers going for knockout blows. I don't see a team that has a great running game. Josh Allen is really seems like their primary back. I mean, which never should be the case. I know they've got a couple backs, but they don't really lean on him. And it just seems like every time, Josh Allen gets back to pass, he's looking for the 50 to 60-yard bomb to Gabe Davis or Stephon Diggs. It just seems like they are knockout punchers, and they're going to hit you. I mean, they're going to break some for sure during a game. But, man, I was not impressed watching them against Miami. I didn't see Buffalo, yesterday to whatever and think, this team's going to go and they're going to beat Cincinnati or they're going to beat Kansas City. Not that Cincinnati looked like world beaters either, but it just seems like Buffalo's gotten into this heavyweight puncher. We're just going to throw and throw and throw. And yeah, it's exciting and they're fun to watch. But I don't think that's a winning recipe to even get to the Super Bowl, much less win. I don't think that's a winning recipe to beat Kansas City and to beat Cincinnati.
Hey, I don't disagree with that. I think that a lot of that's on Josh. Again, these quarterbacks, to me, over the weekend, the discipline of the quarterback play was very disappointing to me in a lot of these games. And they're just taking too much on their own shoulders and not sticking to the system. They mean so much to the team that it's hard for the coaches to get on them. I think Josh will learn from this one. I think he'll go back and he didn't protect the ball at all this weekend, at all. He's carrying it one-handed. He's moving around the pocket one-handed. He don't even see blitzes. He did not play well. I think he'll come back and be different this week. I think the Bills beat the Jags this week. And is it the Jags? No, they don't play the Jags. Who do they
got
play?
the Bengals.
Huh?
Bengals.
I think the Bills beat the Bengals this weekend at home. I think they'll settle down. They've had a lot of pressure on them. A lot's gone on. A lot of pressure in these last couple of games that they should win, that they haven't looked great in. But I think it'll start with Josh. I think he'll learn from that game because he played poor enough to lose the game, very much so poor enough to lose the game. I think he'll come back and start hitting shorter passes. The other thing to me, Michael, is their defense is just you got to score a lot of points to win with the Bills. They're just so-so on defense, and they're going to give up points. They will this weekend. But I think Josh will come back and play a lot better. They didn't run him much the other day, and they've got to have some form of a running game. He's a big part of that. I think he'll come back and carry it 10 times and play much better than he's played. But you got a good point. They don't run the ball well, and Josh is taking too many chances. But that's correctable with a great player.
Yeah.
Okay, after the break, we'll get into the team that I think is going to win it all, San Francisco, big win over Seattle, and then the epic collapse of the LA Chargers. How in the world did it happen? And if you're Brandon Staley, do you send your laundry out anything but same-day service? We'll talk about that next.
hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
I know it's getting colder. You're not thinking about golf. However, if you're planning an event for next year, let me suggest golf through Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. It's perfect for hosting a corporate or a charitable outing. They've got everything in place to make your event a rousing success. To get more info, call 615-847-5074 or go online to riversidegolflinks.com. Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look. Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East, and their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100. Okay, we all know San Fran, dominant football team. They beat Seattle 41-23. Personally, I think they're the best team in the NFL, but there's a chance they're going to have to go to Philly for the conference title game, and that will not be easy. Anybody else think they are the best?
They look like they're on another level. Sort of an elevated tier. They do so many things well, like you said, George. The defense is great. They've got so many weapons offensively, and Brock Purdy, he's doing everything they need him to do. I mean, he didn't start well, but man, he made some throws and got out of the pocket a few times to where you're like, this kid's legit. I mean, he could be their guy. So. I'm with you, George. I think they're just so good at in so many areas.
It's amazing how much talent they have on offense. I mean, it is amazing. It's Debo Samuel one play, Brandon Ayuk the next, Kittle, McCaffrey. It's just, I mean, Brock Purdy has definitely been playing really, really well, but it feels like, honestly, you could stick 32 different quarterbacks in that offense, and Kyle Shanahan would put him in a really good spot to succeed. It is hard not to succeed in that offense. And that's not to say Brock Purdy, is just, he's been great. But man, when you look at that as a defensive coordinator's nightmare, it's like, who do you shut down? Who do you try to stop when you've got four guys that are all lethal, at their position? It's impressive. And they're not just, let's outscore teams 50-45. They've got a great defense. I mean, when Seattle went down and scored on them, you could tell it was a shock to everybody. Like, nobody just runs down San Francisco's throat like Seattle did on that third drive of the game. And so, man, they from top to bottom, they are loaded.
Watson, out of the AFC, what team gives them the hardest bargain?
I don't think they're past Philly yet. I'm not sure their toughest game may be Philadelphia. In Philadelphia, I think the way you beat them, because it's such a young quarterback, is somebody goes in and gets that running game under control. 3/4 of their passes are play-action passes off the run. They're not a drop-back team. When they do, they're okay. They just don't have to do it very often. Everything comes off the run. If Philly is if they get everybody back, I don't know about their health, but if they get everybody back, George, they're the team that can slow the offense down. I don't think anybody in the AFC will slow the offense down. I think you're going to have to outscore them in the AFC. The AFC doesn't have a great defense. And the two best defenses will play each other in Philadelphia if Philly beats New York. If I'm the 49ers, I'd be pulling for the Giants. I get to play that game at home then, and the Giants and playing the Giants. I'd rather play the Giants any day of the week as Philadelphia if Philly's healthy. But I don't think Cincinnati, Buffalo, Kansas City's defense will stop the 49ers. I think you have to outscore them. The only team that's got that shot, I think, is Philadelphia. And the only way I think you beat them, guys, is stop the offense, is stop the running game, and make Purdy have to make play after play after play, not like he's getting to do now when he fakes it and everybody thinks it's run, and then he's kind of back there throwing the ball. Make it be a bunch of third and longs and second and longs, and then see if he can make those plays, dropping back and throwing the ball.
Now, most of you by now have figured out that the Chargers, who once had a 27-0 lead in Jacksonville, did not close the deal, which does make me wonder, boy, I bet that was a nice flight coming home, midnight out of Jacksonville, 4.5-hour flight. You want to be a stewardess on that one? I don't think so. So, Watson, let me start with you. It just feels like something isn't right in the whole Brandon Staley Charger, whatever, however you the administration. Look at this in the second half. These people were running wide open.
Yeah, it happened more than once over the weekend where people would get way ahead and then lose the leads and have to hold on at the end or end up losing. I mean, it's happened quite a few times in the NFL this year. It makes me really not understand why people don't go no huddle, 2-minute style offense more than they do in the NFL. I can tell you why they don't. They all say, well, we don't have the depth. Well, you played with deeper numbers than college teams play with. They're playing 53, and that 53 play. If other than maybe a backup offensive lineman, you play on the weekend. So they've got the depth. The reason they don't do it, in my opinion, is the way you call plays in the NFL. It's a long, wordy type way of doing it. Look at all these quarterbacks that got these wristbands on, and they'll hear a number 2 in the headphone and then sit there and read it in the huddle. That's the reason they don't go a lot of 2-minute, because the 2-minute in the NFL is a short number of plays that you pick from that you're going to run. But every time these teams do it, they go up and down the field. And that's exactly what happened. The Jags went to their 2-minute stuff. The Chargers choked and backed off and says, we got enough points, we'll just defend. They didn't come after them. They didn't do anything. The kids stood back there with the ball the whole second half. They scored every time they had the ball. The Chargers are throwing it 3 times in a row. The clock loses 40 seconds. I mean, you can't play it any worse than the Chargers did. Yeah, you've got to blame the coach, absolutely. But guys, this 2-minute stuff, you got to run your normal defenses. It's like the Chargers were saying, we'll defend it like a 2-minute offense. They backed off. They let them throw underneath right down the field. But they went right down the field every time they got the ball. I don't think Trevor Lawrence was on his back once in the whole second half. They didn't blitz him. They didn't pressure him. It was laid out there for him to do it. But also give the Jags credit now, guys. That was a great job. And Trevor Lawrence, to be that young and to have that kind of start, you're going down in history as one of the worst quarterback performances ever. You throw 4 interceptions in the first half, or maybe it was 3 and a fumble, but 4 turnovers in the first half. And to turn around the second half and have a game like that, unbelievable. Give him a lot of credit and give Peterson a lot of credit, because he kept his cool through that whole game. He didn't lose it in the first half. He didn't lose it in the locker room at the halftime, and he didn't lose it at any point in the second half. He stayed cool. The team responded to him. But it's all off this 2-minute stuff. I do not understand why all of a sudden when somebody speeds up on you that you change your style of defense, and that is exactly what the Chargers did.
I thought Doug Peterson's call on that 4th and 1, or 3rd and 1, whatever it was. It was
Beautiful.
supposed to be
The
a
4th
sneak.
and 1, the sweep.
Oh my gosh, that was beautiful.
Was
Doug
the-
Peterson coached a heck of a second half. And as well, I mean, you got to imagine the confidence that does for Trevor Lawrence going forward. I mean, he's seen the worst half that it can get. It's his playoff debut, and he's got 4 picks in the first half. Something like that has got to be a confidence booster. I think the craziest part of it all, and Watson, I'd love to know if you ever had an experience like this in your coaching career, that you won or lost a game that you shouldn't have when you were up or down 5 turnovers in the turnover margin. I mean,
Gosh.
it's like statistically,
Staggering.
it's a 99% chance that you win if you're +5. And it is just, I've never seen anything like that in my life.
When that happens, you're on the team that's a lot better than the team you're playing. I never was on a whole lot of those. I did win a game with 8 minutes to go, down 24 points, and won the game. The same kind of thing happened in the game where we just went as fast as we could go, and the other thing that happens when you go fast, guys, is you get tired. And when you start getting tired, game over. And you can see it as a fan, as a coach, anything. You can see it happening on the other side of the ball. The Jags are really lucky. They don't do that without help from the Chargers. I don't think the guy will get fired over it. But it's just, and he's the defensive coordinator. He's calling the defense. And he's the head coach, letting the coordinator on the other side of the ball throw it every down instead of running the ball. At least eat some clock and let your defense rest a little bit. And just no patience at all on offense, and all the patience in the world on defense, to the point it cost you a game. It's really weird, guys. George, it's really weird that if you think about his mentality, he has his offense with no patience, and he has his Charger defense with all the patience in the world, and it ended up costing them the game.
So here is where we are for next weekend. And remember, it's not all complete. So Saturday, I think I've got this right, we get Kansas City and Jacksonville from Arrowhead. KC's a 9.5-point favorite. Sunday, early on, we get Cincinnati at Buffalo. Buffalo's a 4-point favorite. NFC, we get the Giants at Philly. That's the, I think, Saturday game.
Saturday night.
Saturday
night.
Yeah.
Philly's favored by a touchdown. And we await the winner of Dallas and Tampa tonight. They'll take on San Fran. Either one of them, San Fran's going to be a touchdown plus favorite. So there.
What do you think? What did you say the line is for Kansas City, Jacksonville? 9?
9.5.
9.5. Which of those big lines, let's say Kansas City, Jacksonville, because I'm guessing the Cincinnati and Buffalo is going to be pretty tight. Which of the 3 bigger lines do you see being the closest?
The Giants.
Yeah.
If
Covering
they're able.
7.
Watson, let me ask you this before we go to the break. Isn't the worry now, I mean, Jacksonville won their Super Bowl Saturday night. Nobody thinks they're going to Arrowhead. Probably their own players don't think they're going to Arrowhead and win. How do you as a coach stop all that kind of thought process and basically say, look, guys, this is a business trip. We're one of 8 that is still there, and we're not here to die like dogs.
I'm not sure they don't have the best coach to do that. He's been there, done that. He's been in these games. He's been in Super Bowls. He's a calm kind of guy. They're really listening to him. They're really paying attention to their coach. I'm talking about the Jags coach, Coach Peterson. And I think the Jags will be ready. I think the Jags will play their fannies off. I just don't think they can outscore Kansas City.
For the Jags, real quick stat here, George. Trevor Lawrence is now 34-0 in his collegiate and professional career on Saturdays. When is that game?
Wow.
Saturday.
It's on a Saturday.
Wow.
34-1. After the break, stat of the day, followed by a preview of tomorrow night's national TV tilt between Belmont and Murray State. Guess what? They're not in the OVC anymore. This is Missouri Valley Conference. Stay tuned.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you. Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports, and then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general: baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised, and of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
Welcome back in, George Plaster Show. Final segment here of the 2 o'clock hour as we get ready for Stat of the Day. It is brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, 204 East Depot Street. They're open Tuesday through Friday, noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. You can give them a call at 931-492-4304. That's 931-492-4304. All right, let's see what Michael's got for Stat of the Day on this Monday afternoon. Here it is. As I pull this baby up, which NFL quarterback has the most turnovers this season?
Oh, wow. Watson, any names that right off the bat
yeah, I know this one. We've had this. We've talked about this before. Shows you how an old brain works.
If it gives, I don't know. This isn't really.
We've talked about this during the year.
Playoffs
and we're still not going to get it. Derek Carr was up there for a while. I don't know if he still is.
Could Russell Wilson be there?
Yeah, he was. That was one that he may have been the one we talked about. It wasn't over yet. This was probably 3 weeks back, George. We talked about it on the air one day when we're talking about quarterbacks. Russell Wilson might be it. I'm trying to think. Is Dak Prescott in that?
Yeah, except for one thing. Cooper Rush played about 4 of their games.
Yeah, that's right. He missed a month.
Likely
Well,
knocked
he
him
can't
out of
be
it.
it. He can't be it. It's got to
What do
be
you
somebody
say?
played the whole way through.
What do you say we go with Russell Wilson?
Yeah, I feel bad about this because as soon as it pops up there, we're going to know.
Well,
You talked about it too. You talked about it. We both talked about it. Don't blame me on this one.
This is going to shock you guys.
Oh, wow.
Joshua Allen.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
He's been
I
careless.
think we did. That's who we talked about.
He has been careless. He's had a bunch of red zone turnovers too, a bunch of costly ones. So if they're going to beat Cincinnati, Kansas City, and the winner of the NFC, he's going to have to limit that.
And that's the problem.
He's a winner. He'll learn from this. The other thing Miami did, they pressured the fool out of them, and they played man free, but they played man all over the field. And Josh took too many chances. He kept licking his chops, saying, "I can get this." The Bengals don't do that. The Bengals are a zone team first and a man team second. I think he'll be dropping a lot more balls off in this game, and he'll learn from it. I just believe he'll play much better after having a game like that. And honestly, should have cost his team the game. He should have cost his team the game, and they just pulled it through for him because it wasn't Josh that won it the other day. But that's right, George. I think that's who it was. It was Josh Allen when we were talking about it late in the season.
Bad. Let's move on to the 3 o'clock hour. Tomorrow night, over at the Curb Center, Belmont and Murray State will renew a rivalry that during their Ohio Valley Conference heyday, it was always for the marbles. What is different? They're both now in the Missouri Valley Conference. And with that in mind, I've asked a good friend, Todd Hamilton from WNBS Radio up in Murray, Kentucky, to join us. Todd, how are you?
George, good to be with you guys this afternoon. And boy, you're right. It's a big game for Murray State and Belmont. And what's interesting about all of this, you've got Belmont, Southern Illinois, and Indiana State, who are the next 3 opponents for Murray State, all tied for first place. And the Racers are sitting in the number 4 spot. This is a big stretch of games for Murray State right now.
Todd, how much better athletically is Missouri Valley compared to OVC?
I think it's a major step up, to be quite honest with you. There are a lot more physical teams in the Missouri Valley. We just saw Bradley in here last week. Murray State lost a pair of games on the road at Drake, who's a very good team, and at Northern Iowa, a game, quite frankly, they should have won. But the play overall is a lot more physical in the Missouri Valley, I think, than in the Ohio Valley.
Oh, let me try it this way. It looked like early that both of these teams struggled, Belmont and Murray, with the new surroundings, the new athleticism. But all of a sudden, Belmont has ripped off 4 in a row to go 6-2 in the league. Before I looked, I assumed that Murray was at 500, and lo and behold, they're at 5-3. Best as you can tell, what have they both done to sort of adjust to this new world order?
I think it's just playing games against teams in the league. I mean, nobody really knew what to expect, when you make the step up. But I think now they both have realized, hey, this is a little better competition than what we saw in the Ohio Valley Conference. And I think that's the reason that they both have stepped up, and they're playing much better. This was a brilliant move, I think, by Murray State to go to the Missouri Valley. And I would say the same for Belmont. And it's a league that, quite honestly, George, you and I both worked at a school a number of years ago that had the opportunity to go to this league at one time in Western Kentucky. And I felt like then they made the mistake by not going. But this is a tremendous basketball league. And, it's interesting to note that Murray State right now has the highest average attendance of anybody in the Missouri Valley Conference.
Really?
Yes.
It's always been a great fan base.
Oh, absolutely.
Holds about 7,500. And that's some good stuff to know. Now, Todd, I want honesty. Did you know it was Josh Allen?
No, I did not.
Good. Thank you. Watson, your witness.
Todd, when I've watched this and playing 20 conference games, 20, unbelievable. I wonder how smart that is. There's no doubt you come out of 20 conference games, you're going to know who the best team in the league is.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. And the thing about it is you play them home and home, and you could potentially, depending on where you fall in this thing, you could play somebody like that again in the tournament. But I think it's a very good test. And, you know, it's like I've said, Watson, it's a great league. I mean, it's just a tremendous league. And, you know, and Steve Prohm has said this many times, night in, night out, you're going to be in a battle, whether you're taking on the top team in the league or the bottom team in the league. You know you're in a battle when you play in this conference.
Well, that's what I was getting at, Todd. To me, what a conference to have to play 20 games in, because the bottom teams I look just about to where they could beat anybody as well as the top ones. You think about it, you're not even halfway yet with a 20 league schedule.
Oh, no.
And so this thing's a long ways off from settling it. And then after you play 20, you go to a conference tournament and turn around and have to do it again. That is brutal. When I saw that, and neat though. If you're a fan, what else would you want? If you're sitting in Murray, Kentucky, the caliber of competition coming into that gym, Todd, is stronger, much stronger.
Oh, yes.
I can see the fan base even growing if it can. I can see the fan base growing even more for Murray as this thing goes on.
And I think, Watson, a lot of that is because you're seeing teams that are, traditionally over the years have been great teams. I mean, look at Bradley, for example, Indiana State. They're teams that people have heard of in the past. Yeah, there are a few that are not. Southern Illinois is a great rival. They always have been for Murray State. You've got Evansville. That's been a great rival over the years for Murray State. And then you've got a lot of these newcomers like Bradley and UIC and Missouri State and some of these others that, they haven't played a lot. But at the same token, you're getting a chance night in and night out if you're sitting here in Murray, Kentucky. And, that was one of the things that intrigued me about the opportunity when they asked me to come to do work on ESPN Plus. And I thought, my goodness, night in and night out, you're going to see great basketball in this facility here at the CFSB Center. And it's been a lot of fun so far, I can tell you that.
Well, last thing, and George, I'll throw it back to you and Michael there, but the last thing to me, Todd, I'm not sure Murray won't end up being a better team in the next few years and better things happen for them because you're going to have more opportunity to go to the league without having that pressure of just winning a tournament. They're going to be taking more teams out of this league, quite a few more. And I think this is perfect for Murray. I think their program will grow more by being in this league than it would have staying in the OVC. Do you feel that way?
Oh, absolutely. And, not only can we talk about this from a basketball standpoint, but, you've got baseball, softball, and next year, as you know, Watson, they're going to play in what's called the Missouri Valley Football Conference. It's not all the same people that are in the Missouri Valley in basketball and the other sports. You've got the North Dakotas, the South Dakotas. Murray State now is going to be in the premier, FCS league in this country. And, a lot of people are excited about where this is going to go. And you're going to see a lot of different teams here in Murray, Kentucky that you've never seen before, just like we're seeing right now in basketball and all the other sports.
Yeah.
Todd, quick question for you as well.
Yes.
I don't know if you've heard, I'm sure you have, it's made the news a couple of days ago, but just this idea of a 90-team March Madness bracket. I don't know if you've heard that get floated out there. What are your immediate thoughts on that? What do you make of that?
90 teams would be way too many. It would be, wow, you almost would have to play the entire month of March to get, 90 teams in. 68 is good. I mean, 75 or 6 might be a little bit stronger, but, it would be good for smaller leagues that maybe have 1 or 2 teams that are deserving of going to the NCAA tournament. Maybe it'll get all this thing out of here about well, this team got snubbed and, blah, 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 and all that. It might be good from that standpoint. But like I say, you're truly, if you go to a 90-team bracket, man, you're going to be playing nearly the whole month of March in order to get the tournament in.
I totally agree with you. I'm with you 100%. And that kind of leads into my next question. You and Watson have both touched on it. The college basketball season already feels so long. It feels like it's gotten longer and longer. You talked about 20 conference games, and then you've got the conference tournament and then a 68-team tournament. Do you feel like it's getting too long? Do you feel like they might need to cut down some of these non-conference games earlier in the season, that kind of like college football, you get, 3, 4, 5 warm-up games, and then it's time for conference play? Do you like the length this season, or do you feel like it should be cut down at all?
I think, Michael, it should be cut down some. It starts way too early. George and I know of the days when you didn't start playing college basketball games till right around Thanksgiving or right at Thanksgiving is when the season started. There's too many of these pre-classics and all this stuff. And I understand why they do it. It gives all these schools more exposure. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, look at what the Myrtle Beach Invitational did for Murray State this year. They beat a very fine Texas A&M team. They take UMass right down to the last shot, and then they beat Tulsa. So to play in an event like that was great for Murray State. The national exposure was tremendous. But yes, I think the season is a bit too long. It needs to be a little bit more condensed.
Okay, Todd, last thing for you.
Okay.
Steve Prohm goes back to Murray after Matt McMahon ends up at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see it happen very often. Were the fans happy about him coming back, or saying, wait a minute, he left us and bombed out at Iowa State?
You got a little of both. There are some that, love Steve Prohm. They are thrilled that he's back. Of course, his wife is from here. And, they are just thrilled to death to be back here. You still have a few naysayers that say, well, why would you hire him, knowing that, of his bombing at Iowa State. But Steve Prohm is a quality basketball coach. And I think Murray State realized they had a chance to get a guy who knows the program, knows the history of the program, the tradition, and they were able to get him to come back after a year hiatus out of it. He wanted back into coaching, and, what better place for him to come back and coach would be at Murray State.
Did anybody else get interviewed, best as you know?
Best as I know, I can't honestly say, but I know there were some other candidates, but it was pretty much all along. If Prohm wanted the job, from what I was told, it felt like that, he would get it.
Todd, really appreciate you taking the time to do this. 8:00 tomorrow night on the CBS Sports Network, Belmont, right. Murray State. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely. Looking forward to seeing it. And thank you guys for having me on. I'd love to come back anytime.
We'll do it. Todd, thank you as always.
Thank you, George.
My buddy Todd Hamilton joining us on the show after the break. You've been waiting for it. It's back by popular demand. How popular, who knows? Studs and Duds are coming up next.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is simple. I chose Hermitage Strike and Spare. They were amazing. Great food, great bowling, and a staff that's ready to go the extra mile. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5665.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
By the way, if you're watching us live today, first of all, thank you for doing so. Happy Martin Luther King Day to you. There is a really good game going on right now up in East Lansing at the Breslin Center. Michigan State leading Purdue 46-45 as they approach 6 minutes to play in that game. That is an absolute Big Ten war. Now make it tied at 46. Michael, do you know what studs and duds are?
I got a good idea. I've seen the show, so I do know.
Okay.
Who performed? Who was a letdown?
Well,
basically,
letdown is, I think, very kind.
Dud.
Who
is a phony? Is what you would say.
Well, fraud.
Yeah, there it is.
Watson loves that fraud deal.
Yep.
Oh, that's your word, not mine.
Oh, but you love throwing it back at me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, everybody's a fraud that loses.
Mm-hmm. So let's go to the studs first. G-Men. How about them?
On the road, too. Just went in and handled business.
Tell you what, got a quarterback that can run the football. Watson.
I was going to say that, sorry, earlier, George. I don't think anyone really expected him to run the way he had. I mean, he's been doing it all year, but it's almost like he took it to another level on the ground.
Watson, doesn't this guarantee they have to bring him back?
Oh, Lord, yeah. No way they're letting him go. No way. I mean, DeBoe's bragged on him all year long. He ran the ball well in college, guys. He had good feet. I thought he was a great take. I was disappointed in his play early. That's what I say. It's hard to know what you got, and then some of them come through after a year or two, and then some of them don't, and he did. And honestly, he did with a lot of pressure on him. It's hard to play quarterback in New York City. We've talked about this before. He won that game with his competitiveness, discipline, toughness. He took some shots. That quarterback sneak he ran, they bent him back. I don't know how his back's not killing him, George, if you saw that play. I mean, they got him under the chin and bent his body back. And tough kid. I love him. I think he's going to be a great pro.
Okay.
I was going to say Cutcliffe's boy.
Yes,
the last thing.
Absolutely.
That's your
trained
guy.
well.
Yep, absolutely.
Stud number 2 is no surprise. It's the Jaguars. They were down 27-7 at the half, 27-0 at one point. Live to tell about it, and then win at the buzzer on a field goal, Watson, that almost didn't go in.
No, but again, the opposing team jumped off sides. If he'd missed it, they had another shot. So Chargers gave them every opportunity to come back, but give the Jags credit. They did it. They did it, and with poise and just defense. They score, 3 points out of 5 possessions in the second half. It's the only way. If they score 1 touchdown, I don't think the Jags win that game. 1 touchdown out of 5 possessions, they couldn't do it. So give the Jag defense a lot of credit too.
You see Trevor Lawrence went to Waffle House after the game. Thought that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, only in Jacksonville. That's probably one of the better spots in Jacksonville.
I'm really interested. I'm really interested to see, though, in the coming years, the confidence that Lawrence plays from that game. I just think that is a monumental game for his career. It's going to be really interesting to see. I mean, after something like that, you know, you got all the reason in the world to be completely confident. And so I'm excited to see his development. I'm excited to see Herbert's too. But man, Lawrence was as bad as you could be in that first half. And he turned it around.
Our third stud will surprise you. How about Vandy? First of all, the officials, what a terrible job of going to the monitor.
I figure they'd be on the duds.
Oh my God, I should have put them in there. They completely ignored the fact that Arkansas's player, by standing over Melora Brown, started that little fracas. And then Jerry Stackhouse, for all the lip readers, man, did they have some fun, because he threw out some 4-letter words.
He wasn't complimenting them, that's for sure.
No, he wasn't. But Vandy then hit everything in sight on the way to this win.
Who's their big man that could not miss at the end? What's his name?
Liam Robbins.
Oh, he had a game. I mean, the first half, he was just non-existent because of foul trouble, and he came in and just dominated in the second half. And man, it's fun to see a tense game like that with the tensions high, and because somebody's going to lose. That's the fun part.
Watson, they needed that big time.
I think Vanderbilt's pretty good. I think they're pretty good. They can shoot. They're athletic. When that big man plays like that, they're pretty good. There's nobody's got a better big man than that in the league. He can run. He can get up and down the floor. I think he's highly underrated. He can shoot threes. I think Vanderbilt's pretty good. We'll see how they play it out. But I think they're going to be in about every game. They're much better than they were a year ago because they got more athletes and more shooters.
Yeah, shooters. That's a big thing. They show they can really score when they go out there.
I think they're pretty good. I think they're pretty good. I think they're going to be a factor.
When they shoot like that, they can play with anybody. I mean, they were lights out.
And they made their free throws too.
Jordan Wright, it's best I've seen him play all year.
Yeah, they need him like that if they want to keep winning.
Here's the fourth stud. Bama. God, beat LSU by 40.
It was 40. Like that at half. It was 40 at half.
Brandon Miller was outscoring LSU at one point in the beginning of the game.
LSU's got some issues.
Bama's also hot.
Yeah.
I mean, goodness gracious. Are they they've got to be
the best.
They're the best right now. If the season ended today.
Yeah, it's way too early.
That's the crazy thing. It's all about
too early.
It's all about when you peak.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Okay, Watson, who do you think our first dud is?
I'm waiting to see. With you, there's no telling.
Well, this one's obvious. The Chargers. Nice flight home. Need a beer? Need a beer?
Ask the Titans about winters.
Need a keg?
Those long winter months, man. Ooh. Summer months. Getting back again. Tough. Tough loss.
Here's one I did not see coming. Bad loss for Tennessee. Rick Barnes catching a lot of heat because most people believed he had the better team. But what we now know, we can put a stop to all this garbage about Kentucky doesn't have enough talent. They got enough talent to go to Knoxville and win.
Well, yes, but Calipari figured it out. He used his talent right. He doesn't have shooters.
No.
They don't have scorers, but they got a bunch of dudes that can run and jump and do a lot of things. And when they get after you like that, that's the way Kentucky's going to win. If they go back and prima donna it and shoot on the perimeters and they don't have scorers, but they got athletes. And did they play hard Saturday? And Tennessee has got that same old problem, George, we've watched for 3 years now. When they don't shoot well, man, they don't. A lot of teams will have poor games, but Tennessee, when it's poor, it's real poor. And they've pulled this before, and they couldn't make a layup, for gosh sakes. I mean, they could not make a layup. That's been their Achilles heel. And about the time you really get up on them, this is why they struggle in the tournament. They go out and have one of these kind of games, George, and takes them down quick, and then they look back and say, what happened? But Kentucky learned something Saturday if they'll keep doing that. Now, head coach getting all those prima donnas to play like that, He played about 12 guys. It didn't seem to bother him who was in and who was out. Normally that stuff does. If he can keep that mentality, Kentucky will be there. If they go back to that, hey, man, I got to get my 20 shots in, they'll go back to mediocre again. But nobody would have wanted to play Kentucky Saturday now.
No.
You got to give Kentucky credit as much as getting on Tennessee to me.
They had something to prove. Watson, I think you hit it on the head, though. It's amazing because it was impressive what they did. I mean, going on the road in a hostile environment like that and winning. But I was also watching the game, and I had the same takeaway as you, which is it's not like they got a bunch of just pure, I'm going to break you down and go score. It's just a bunch of athletes, but it's also pretty crazy to see, they basically bottomed out with their floor of getting drilled by South Carolina, and then they go beat Tennessee on the road. Just how low of a floor it is, but how high of a ceiling they have as well is, I mean, that's crazy. That's probably one of the biggest gaps that I've seen just this season of they can be really, really bad. But when they play together and it's not me ball, it's playing together and playing great defense, man, they look good. And so that was just an interesting take. I mean, within a week and a half, we've seen a low floor and a high ceiling.
Don't happen unless you've got real good talent.
Yep.
They've got talent.
Dud number 3 is probably not fair. Duke lost at Clemson. They're now 4-3 in conference play, and I wouldn't want that job replacing Mike Krzyzewski. John Shire has it, and he's never going to satisfy him.
That's so tough. It's the same thing with whoever replaces Nick Saban. I mean, it's just you're going to be a letdown. I mean, Coach K is Duke basketball, and that is so difficult for Shire. Hate it for him because he feels all the pressure of it. But yeah, it's another one of those blue bloods that don't seem as strong as they usually are.
The last one, predictable. The Vikings.
What was he doing on the check down, the last play of the game?
Hey, I'll defend that a wee bit now. I mean,
come on.
What happened on the play? If you got to understand the play, Billy. They're in man free. The safety leans toward Jefferson. He drops back. He's wanting to throw it to Jefferson, which is throw it to Jefferson. He sees the safety leaning that way. Jefferson's running a deep route. It's a basic double team. By the time he gets ready to come back to somebody else on a deeper pattern, there's a guy free in his face. And I think he just choked and he drumped it off. But I defend it up to a point because he was going to Jefferson. You study his eyes, know where Jefferson ran, what he ran. He couldn't throw it to Jefferson. It would have been a pickoff. And the pass rush was really good. The tough part for Cousins is he's pulled this so many times.
Mm-hmm.
He's pulled it so many times that everybody gets on him. But I'm telling you, you got to play quarterback or coach him to understand what he went through. And guys, there was a guy in his face within 2.5 seconds. Man, that's tough. And probably should just laid it up, just took it and threw it up in the air somehow. He knew he couldn't get sacked. Game over. He had to throw it somewhere. So I defended a little more than the fans are defending it.
After the break, we'll have Plaster Bet of the Day. Watson, get fired up about that. Secondly, we'll have a little bit of breaking news, and we may have a final, or we may not. Michigan State, Purdue going right to the wire in East Lansing. 1.5 minutes left, 90 seconds. Michigan State by 1. Stick around.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports, and then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general: baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised, and of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look.
Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East. And their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100.
Welcome back in. Final segment of the George Plaster Show on your Monday afternoon. Cowboys and Tom Brady tonight. So we'll be looking forward to that one. But first, Plaster's Bet of the Day. It's brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. They are lawyers you can trust. Give them a call at 615-242-9000. That's 615-242-9000. Or log on to bartdurham.com. And George, real quick here, we do have a late piece of breaking news here as we're coming down the home stretch of the show. The Arizona Cardinals, they have hired the Titans' Monty Ossenfort as their new general manager. And that was a guy that Terry had brought up to us a few weeks back about a guy that the Titans may end up promoting potentially. But Ossenfort, a highly regarded guy across the league, is headed to Arizona.
He didn't wait around to see. And I don't blame him. I mean, if you've got one and you've never been a GM, you got to take it.
He's a former director of college scouting for the Patriots, who helped them win 4 Super Bowls, too.
Yeah.
So
came here with John Robinson, part of that Patriot tree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
results time. Let's get to Plaster's Bet of the Day results.
Whatever.
Chargers lost. So that was loss number 1.
That's a screwing.
That's
a royal hosing.
How confident were you at halftime about that pick?
Pretty confident.
Well, meanwhile, the Bills and the Niners teaser, that one also lost somehow.
Bills didn't cover. Niners did, but Bills failed.
Man, I couldn't believe that one.
I know.
And then the Giants, you got that one in.
G-Men.
The G-Men pulled through. And the Bengals didn't cover. So,
but they
almost did, though.
You're at 100 wins, though, George. We made it to 100.
Michael, thank you.
Did you ever think this day would happen?
Your positivity basically is attempting to overshadow Watson's negativity.
I'm trying here, George.
I know you are.
Watson, have at it.
Rats.
1 and 3 ain't going to get
Watch
it done.
The rats, man.
They're circling.
You all are so, what have you done for me lately?
I hope they can swim.
So let's go. Don't show them yet. I want to talk through this. This is an intriguing matchup tonight. For most of the season, Tampa Bay's offense has been, as I like to call it, Gerber's baby food. Nothing. Just a pile of mush. And about the time that we were going to send them mentally packing, suddenly Brady and Mike Evans renew acquaintance. 3 touchdowns a couple of weeks ago against Carolina, and all of a sudden a Tampa Bay offense that was dormant had a little bit of life. Then there's Dallas. Dallas has got a lot of talent. They play stupid. They play Mike McCarthy. Don't be shocked tonight if they get 15 penalties for 112 yards. I can't figure Dallas out. I know that there is trouble in their secondary, but they also have, in Parsons, one of the great players in the league.
It's time to take the boys, George.
Is it?
America's team.
Let's go.
Watson, do you believe that? I am taking Dallas.
I understand what you're saying. Dallas got some guys back too, by the way. They've got some health back, but Brady got his man back for the first time all season. His center is playing tonight, Jensen. I think that's huge in the game. Huge.
Okay, let me try this one on you. If Dallas forces Tampa into a scenario where Tampa doesn't get any cheap points, they've got to go 70 to 80 all night. Doesn't Dallas win? Aren't they the better team?
Yeah, they don't have the better quarterback though.
That is a problem.
You get to this point, man. It's hard to bet against him. It's just hard to bet against him, and with his right arm back, and he has publicly said that a long time, that Jensen is center. They coordinate each other in pass protection so well, and talk through that together. And I don't know. I just can't get past what I watched Dallas do last week. And they were still playing for the number one to win the division last week, George, to me. And they just stunk at Washington. I mean, Dak stunk. They all did. I can't get past that. If that was a gimme game, that it didn't matter. But the Eagles didn't play till later that night. And so they win. They're waiting to see if the Eagles lose or not. If they'd lost, they'd won the division. So they're playing for something.
You ready to change your pick yet, George?
No, I'm waiting to hear Arlington boy step up and defend his cowpokes.
Listen, being a Cowboys fan is absolutely brutal.
Whatever.
So listen, I'm riding with him always, but at this point, I would not be surprised with anything. So I'm taking him tonight. I'm with you, George, on the bet. I think it's going to hit. But if they get skunked tonight, welcome to being a Cowboys fan. That is exactly what we've been enduring, at least in my lifetime. I've never seen them really that good. So
do you think it's automatic? McCarthy loses, he's out?
I don't know how you can bring him back. I mean, the level of dissatisfaction in Dallas would be so high. And the roster's a good roster. I mean, you got playmakers all over the roster. If you can't beat Tampa Bay, and yeah, you can say it's the greatest player of all time, whatever you want to say, but Tampa Bay is not great this year. I mean, let's just be honest. Dallas has a much better roster. I think you got to start asking yourself, if we can't beat Tampa Bay, what advantage does Mike McCarthy give us? And, if Sean Payton's sitting on the sidelines, I mean, there's not a doubt in my mind that's who I would target. If they lose tonight, I think McCarthy gets fired. I don't care what Jerry said.
Boom.
I'm probably with you.
Book it.
Agreed, Watson?
Yeah. If they don't win tonight, I think there'll be a new coach in Dallas next year. Dallas's center's back too, and that's big. He's back tonight, and he hadn't played in about a month. So that's another big get back. And Dallas has got one of their inside defensive tackles back tonight. They haven't stopped the run since, I think it's Hankins is his name. They hadn't stopped the run since he went out.
And they get Leighton Vander Esch.
And Vander Esch is back tonight too. So, I mean, both teams are getting guys. This is the way it works. You play for the playoffs. And I think Tampa's played for the playoffs all year. They don't care what the record is, just win the division. So I think you'll see a different Tampa team tonight. If Dallas steps up and matches them, they can win the game. But if they don't step up, because I think Tampa will step up tonight and play maybe their best game of the year.
Dallas is getting it done. I'm more confident than ever. They're getting it done.
Wow.
Yeah. We might need to start Michael's bet because I'm locked in on that.
Are you?
Yeah.
That's a big help.
Yeah.
Okay, I stalled as long as I could, but we're done. 10.8 seconds to play at the Breslin Center. Michigan State 63, Purdue 62. If you're watching us live, you might want to go over to Fox. It's going to be a heck of an ending. See you tomorrow.